I was just gonna watch this because CarQ posted a developer Q&A summary, and it's 15 minutes long. And CarQ is amazing. So this is what I was gonna do. He has the numbers in his video. Okay, then we're good then. Nisu, Timberwolf, TKO, Jason. There's a bunch of subs. Thank you, Chad. He does? Hell yeah. All right, wait.
Smaller thing. I wouldn't call it a rework for May's primary fire.
Uh-oh.
That's almost done now. You're not going to freeze another hero entirely, but you build up to a bigger moment of that slow.
Oh no.
Greetings, YouTube. Myself and Ava, another content creator, had the chance to chat with Alec Dawson, who is the lead hero designer of the Overwatch 2 team. This video is going to be a summary of everything we asked, with the full interview up on my second channel, the CarQ Archives. Let's begin. I opened it up like this. Are you able to share some statistics surrounding Lifeweaver in the first week and a half so far, such as pick rate, win rate, and what led to the decision of those drastic changes in his kit only 10 days in? And for your reference, the Lifeweaver changes that are going to happen, here they are from Aaron and...
Whoa. CarQ, you're so fast. Ammo up to 20 from 12. Slow during charge, now kicks in 1 second for full charge. Thorn volley spread tightened. Oh, so that way you can like spam cross map a little easier. I don't think it has fall off damage, so you should be able to spam cross map a little easier. And it just gives you more effective range. Tree of Life 1200 from 1000. Purple's healing 50 to 75. Oh crap.
Alec on Twitter respectively. You can pause and read them. Alec responded by
I
saying,
did pause. Thank you,
Lifeweaver's pick
CarQ.
rate was high, but it's always high with new hero launches since players want to try him out. However, his win rate was lower than where they wanted it to be. However, it is quick play data.
Quick play, and they have to learn your character.
Misconception where players thought his healing numbers were bad, but based on the stats, they're actually higher than people think. Apparently, it's second across all ranks when averaged out below Mercy. However, in the higher ranks, the healing for Lifeweaver is a bit more middle of the pack.
That's interesting. I kind of felt like his healing overall, like if all I did was heal constantly and I never stopped, his healing did feel kind of okay. The bigger problem I felt like was that his healing didn't feel impactful. It didn't feel good. And that's a different problem than just the raw number. And I think the reason it didn't feel good is partially because of the slow that they're already tweaking. So we'll have to see after the patch.
Also listened to community feedback about the clunkiness, especially for controller players on console, and they implemented the keybind changes very quickly. So a combination of the stats they had in the back end and the feedback from the community is what ultimately led to these drastic changes to Lifeweaver, which will be implemented on Tuesday, April 25th, which is the day he's unlocked for competitive play.
Nice.
Now, if you skip the first question, you may not have noticed that they are removing Parting Gift, the passive. So I asked Alec, are they open to bringing it back, but
dude.
maybe only allowing Lifeweaver's teammates to take it? His answer was quite short, so I'll just play the clip.
One of the main reasons we completely removed it was just overall cleanliness in the kit. As you said, there is a lot already going on, while not all of it is active. I think overall when we're adding things to the world space, you know, we need to be very careful that they are meaningful. And I don't think we were seeing enough purpose actually with Parting Gift happening from match to match. So when we look at the kit overall...
Chat, I don't think anyone actually actively noticed Parting Gift, except for the players who are diving and killing Lifeweaver would immediately jump on his body to yoink the health pack. I never noticed it as his teammate.
It's something we felt would cutting. We wouldn't lose a lot. We'd add a lot more
Lifeweaver, dude. Every time, man.
About that going forward. And down
it's
the line,
so easy to confuse them.
To see if there is a passive that we want to add. We have no plans right now to do that, but that it does open up that space.
Ava's question was next, where she said, Lifeweaver currently feels most useful when playing him to enable your teammates rather than using your cooldowns for yourself and getting kills on your own. Is this intentional, or might we see a more solo carry style? Alec's response was that the defensive playstyle of Lifeweaver is very much intentional, and he knows that he doesn't have as many ways to engage like other supports, but
they want him to be
defensive.
Why
they tightened the Thorn Volley spread with the upcoming buff is to give players a sense of mastery and allow them to express some more skill. However, he
skill and mastery is interesting.
Doesn't see him ever being a solo carry, but he certainly has a lot of playmaking abilities, which is also the reason why they buffed the Tree of Life's healing. The next question Ava asked was pertaining to Lifeweaver's controls, where have they considered allowing allies to confirm if they want to get pulled by Life Grip?
Thank you, someone asked it.
Is this something they could look to change in the future? Alex's response was that having a player confirm the life grip was never going to be an option because it would add clunkiness and affect the flow of the hero. A lot of life grips are split-second decisions, and being late on clicking confirm or even missing the press F to confirm life grip in the heat of battle would likely result in your death. The bigger question they asked on the team was about giving players agency to use movement abilities while in life grip, such as TPing out as Kiriko, and they're happy with how that functions at this time. Ava then brought up...
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's also not... I understand where they're coming from with the effectiveness plus clunky feeling. But also, I'm about to get trolled like 30 times.
Some grievances about Petal Platform not interacting consistently across maps where it simply won't activate at all or it'll go up halfway. Is the team aware of it and looking to address it soon?
This is a map
Short
thing.
answer is yes, Alec and the Overwatch 2 team are aware of it and they're looking into it, and if there are any bugs, make sure you report them. And then we have...
Basically, just don't put it anywhere around walls or you're screwed. If you put it around walls, you're goner.
The question about his hitbox.
Oh, this is a good question.
Is the team looking to reduce it? Alex said that hitbox changes are actually quite a bit of work to adjust, so while there has been discussion about it internally, in particular his pedals on his back, which do count as his hitbox by the way, they will not be looking at it anytime soon. All right, for Brig.
Aww. Dude. His hitbox is by far the worst part about the character, though. Well, I mean, there's other things they can do other than the hitbox reduction, though, if they commit to it. But they can just give him like 225 HP and then he'd be fine, right? Stuff like that. Even just 25 HP would make him just fine without having to go through all the changes of like, well, we want to change his hitbox. Do we make him literally physically smaller, which then affects all of the animations times a million? So I can see why they say it's super complicated because of all like the knockoff effects down the line. I feel like it'd be easy, though, to just give him 25 HP. Please get revenge for all the time. I have never trolled flats with Lifeweaver. All of my life grips have been clearly effective, and to say so otherwise, I'm reporting you.
I had a pretty lengthy question, which was, what does the dev team think about the Brig rally changes thus far?
Oh, okay, wait. Okay, professional Lifeweaver coming soon. Yeah, Metal Spaz, expect me to grind it in ranked starting Tuesday. I'm going to do nothing. What does the dev team think about the Brig rally?
And if they have any stats to share. Additionally, what was the thought process when thinking of the trade-offs with the decreased move speed and overhealth ramp up versus the new larger shield and the biggest point of contention, the stun?
So before he even answers this question, I'm actually really curious because isn't it Brigida rally is bugged? It doesn't give you the full armor or health. So how is Blizzard supposed to know how good the new rally is? They're going to talk about it.
Some of Alex's response, he said the new Brig ult gave it more texture and the old one felt kind of flat. The new big shield and the option to stun gives you more choices in your rally and more activity within the ult, and they're actually really happy with that as it can feel a lot more engaging.
So I agree with all that, and also the other coolest part I actually enjoy about new rally versus old rally chat is the impact of immediate armor versus ramp up. It feels really good to be a Brig player who is kind of getting pushed by somebody backline, immediately pop rally, instant cast, instant just turn the fight. It feels like a mini nano where, you know, if a tank gets nanoed, you just instantly get healed to floor. You're like, oh shit. It's like that, but you are the person that does it to yourself, and it feels kind of nice to immediately try and like turn a fight or do something. The only impact is...
He noted that it was interesting seeing the mixed response from the community. People were either saying it was going to ruin the meta, with some other top Brig players saying it's arguably worse than the old rally. So he thought that was interesting, but...
Well, Brig players are going to say it's worse because it is worse through the bug plus move speed. But people obviously... Okay, let me just...
When he took a look at the data, he said it was about the same win rate as she was near the end of Season 3, and she was already in a good spot back then. They're also aware of the armor bug that people have pointed out, and they're looking to fix it.
Okay. So to say... Okay, so back this up just a second here. Okay. If your win rate is the same, but your ultimate isn't as good as it says because of the armor bug, are those people wrong to say that the ultimate was buffed? I don't think so. Right? The ultimate specifically is bugged. It does not give full armor. Currently, you see how the character has 300 HP? Right now, you have 250 HP, I think. So when you pop Brigalt and you run at somebody, you're really squishy, right? I think it's something like that. I don't know the exact number. Someone else will know. But regardless, if Brigitte, who was already one of the best supports in top 500 statistically, and they say their stats have not changed, they're about the same, but you changed the ultimate. Like, does that not mean that maybe giving her another 50 armor during her ult might increase that win rate a little bit, make her buffed, which is what everybody was saying before? Do note though, I'm gonna keep my opinion different than anyone else on this, or sorry, not than most of the the doomers here, because there's a lot of doomers, I think, when they talk about Brigitte and stuns and this and that. The natural response to Brigitte stun has always been, holy crap, why are they adding the stun back into the game? They just got rid of all the stuns. What is going on? And it's not necessarily as much about Brigitte stun as it is about the direction. And people panic when they see CCs re-added into Overwatch, specifically because of the history of Overwatch, right? It has almost nothing to do with Brigitte in this case, in my opinion. It does a little bit because of Brigitte's specific role in old Overwatch and how the meta's played out and everything else. But it's really about the direction of, oh, you guys are doing a 180? Are we going back to making it so now we have a lot more stuns in the game and do this other stuff and this and that again? Is this the herald of the end? Brigitte's history? Yes. Yeah. Isn't it fine since it's an ultimate CC? Yeah, kind of. But either way, a similar performance compared to end of season 3 when her ult is bugged pretty much shows that, yeah, her ult is probably buffed compared to before. The real nerf is the move speed on her ult, by the way. I wouldn't say it's anything else. Anyway, let's keep going. Brigitte isn't going to make or break the game at this point. Brigitte is still absurdly good, and they weren't there. They don't remember, says Flats. Oh, well. I never actually thought of it quite like that, Flats. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Because when I talk about, hey, end of Overwatch 1, it makes sense that all these content creators are freaking out and panicking and stuff because the end of Overwatch 1 was CC hell with double shield all the time on ladder because it was too easy to play and all this other stuff. But you're right, there probably is a large new audience who walks into Overwatch 2. They see Brigitte, and Brigitte is an interesting character because she doesn't feel very impactful because so much of her is invisible, right? I've talked about it 1,000 times, the UI problems surrounding her general character where she doesn't show her healing. The only thing that you actually see her healing on now is the scoreboard, right? And so it probably does to your average player not feel very impactful. And then I can definitely see that combined with the armor bug or whatever, feeling like, yeah, she doesn't have as much HP as she should. So I don't know. We'll see. There are new devs as well, Seagull. Oh, well, I mean, yeah, but new devs versus old devs versus whatever, there's always new developers. I don't really talk about that as much just because I don't know. And also, you say that, but there's actually a lot of old school devs who are still on the Overwatch team as well. So yeah, anyway, just keep going.
The Mercy questions. Many people have complained about Mercy's damage boost and resurrect. Can you give some insight on potential changes you've considered regarding these abilities?
Oh, this is gonna be a fun one.
Alec noted that the team is happy with damage boost and res. No changes here in the near future.
Good. I don't know why people freak out of those two, by the way. I think Mercy is actually a cool character right now, and they don't need to mess with it. The only thing that was super annoying was the invisible 50% buff because it meant that you couldn't judge effectively as someone trying to attack whether or not you could kill a player. Otherwise, I don't think, I know a lot of people complain about Mercy's damage amp, but I feel like they're just mostly complaining because they hate the idea of a hard pocket or a combo, but I'm always going to be super biased against this. You guys probably know that because I come from Team Fortress 2. And Team Fortress 2 that I played for basically 8 years before Overwatch was medic combos, right? A medic plus a soldier, or a medic plus a demo, or a medic plus a skill, right? And Mercy feels exactly like that same type of thing. So to me, feeling a combo and caring about it, be like, yeah, there's that's what these people are doing. There's just, yeah, there's a Pharah Mercy, or there's an Ashe Mercy, there's a Soldier Mercy, and there's stuff like that. Yeah, that's how they work. They're crazy. Med took 20, I'm dead. Yeah, Medic took 20, I'm dead. 27, by the way.
Next question was with Mercy's Guardian Angel change in Season 4. I mentioned that it feels as if Mercy is being punished for performing movement text because of the longer cooldown. I asked Alec how he feels about the GA changes thus far. Is he happy about it? Are they looking to revert it or change it?
There's no way they want to change it.
Guardian Angel, their stance is that they want to keep the ability simple, but don't want to take away skill expressions such as the slingshots and super jumps. Alec acknowledged that the Season 4 patch note for her was a little hard to understand for both sides, right? And having different GA cooldowns depending on if you added movement tech or not isn't perfect, and they're still evaluating it. They do want Mercy to be in a place where they don't have to change it over and over again, as it does hurt with muscle memory and is obviously very frustrating for Mercy players. Moving on to...
I assume they're just going to let this one sit for a while. It is true right now that basically you know, you're going to not... It's just weird having invisible cooldowns because they aren't really appreciate, like, if you're a casual player who doesn't particularly pay attention, you're going to wonder sometimes why if you pop shift to one thing, it works, and sometimes you die because you don't have shift back, and you're not going to know why. So I can see why they might change that specific piece, but otherwise, they're probably fine.
Moira, the recent Season 4 changes allows Moira to fade during coalescence.
Yes, they want more DPS Moira.
At Moira, or is this the last change we'll see for a while? Alex said that they're actually relatively happy with her simplicity and how she plays, but they're always actively looking at if there is room to...
Card Q. Okay, I'm ignoring the answer. Just watch the gameplay clip.
Alex said that...
Throws the damage orb.
They're actually relatively happy with her simplicity and how she plays, but they're always actively looking...
Gotta kill.
At if there is room to add team utility. There is nothing of substance right now.
Karq knows what he's doing, dude.
For Moira reworks or changes, but one example of something they play tested was damage orb revealing the target it was touching, but they decided it didn't quite fit Moira's identity, and it might be something they could add to another support hero altogether whose identity is all about sonar and vision control.
There's a support that's all around sonar and vision control.
Now, I gave some works or changes, but one example of something they play tested was damage orb revealing the target it was touching, but they decided it didn't quite fit Moira's identity, and it might be something they could add to another support hero altogether whose identity is all about sonar and vision control.
Oh god. Sonar and vision control. Can't wait until we have a Seer Catalyst combo from Apex in a one specific character. We gotta have a sonar and vision control. So vision control will be like the first smoke in Overwatch, and they give them a wall hack hero. And they're like, I'm a support. Watch this, guys. Listen, I am just a simple, he could be editorial.
Now I gave
chances. Anyway, yeah, he could, Karq might have just tossed that in there, but not sure if that, I would have to watch the specific dev piece. Is this coming from Karq? Is this coming from the developer? Is the actual question. Either way, if they end up, just theoretically speaking, let's say it came from the developer and they're talking about a supposed support. It is from the developer? Oh, okay. Well, let's assume that the person in chat isn't trolling and Karq and blah, blah, blah. So in that case, I hope that it is fun. Let's be clear, because wall hacks in many types of games are very frustrating. Hanzo in particular is a good example of this, because, you know, Hanzo puts a sonar on you and then you just, that's a bold take, streamer. No, because wall hacks aren't that fun. Apex Legends has this problem where it kind of, there's a lot of wall hacks all the time. And I know Apex isn't the same as Overwatch because, you know, you have to wander on the map, you have to find people, and you have to do this and that, blah, blah. But they have a lot more smokes, a lot more visual clutter, they have a lot more ultimates to block vision, and then you find people and this and that. But whatever, you get the idea of, we've never teased or gone down the road of wall hacks in Overwatch being a specific thing. It's always been very exclusive to snipers, right? Hanzo and Widow. The moment you start putting that on supports and other things, and it becomes a little more prevalent in the game, you got to be very careful. You got to be very, very careful. Sombra, by the way, chat, who the fuck is Sombra?
context for this question, where in Season 4 there was a bug fix with Ashe no longer being able to gain alt charge while Bob is active. Now, there was a bug fix patch note from June 3rd, 2019, over 4 years ago, which now allows her to gain alt charge with Bob up. And now in 2023, we're going back in the opposite direction.
Different
this
dev
is
team.
a net nerf to the uptime of Bob, right? You can't build the next one as quickly as before. So I asked Alec if he could elaborate on the reasoning behind this and comment on whether this is something he may be looking into for other heroes who are able to gain ult charge while the previous ult is up, such as Wrecking Ball's Mines, or Hanzo's Dragon, or Torb's Molten Core. Alec was
Generally speaking, chat, the rule of thumb is if the ultimate is out for a really long period of time, it should be able to gain ultimate charge.
very candid and honest and said he'd have to dig into it. Bugs are flagged and an individual designer gets assigned to it and they just do their job, right? They fix it, but they may not have looked into the full history of it. It's been 4 years, so it may have slipped through the cracks, but they'll follow up and see what the
It's been
approach
a
should
really
be for
long
the
time.
other heroes. He did, however, say that this bug fix nerf didn't affect Ashe's performance as much as you may think, so that's some food for thought.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty minor overall, but it's like, you know, Bob takes 10-15% more ult charge. It sucks.
Alec, do you read any comments on social platforms? On Overwatch Overwatch content? Out of
Oh, no.
curiosity?
Time to time.
I only ask this because one of the most commonly upvoted comments is, well, that's another reason to nerf Genji.
True.
On the topic of Genji, does the team feel that Genji is underpowered right now? And
I'm gonna call his answer right now. Genji is not underpowered. He's probably statistically better than average and doesn't need a buff or some shit. Dude, I'm calling it right now.
may need a small buff, especially after removing that movement speed DPS passive from Season 1. Alec answered by saying that no, he doesn't think Genji needs a buff. Genji is still above a 50% win rate, and his pick rate is healthy, as he's a very
It's always the same. They've said this for years, dude.
popular hero.
They said that, chat. They said that in 2019. Literally every single time they talk about this pre-watched. I didn't have to pre-watch it, dude, because it's always the same. It's always the same. Genji is always a little bit better than people think. He's just not super amazing at the highest end. So therefore, creators and top 500, etc., who kind of dictate public perception of characters and this and that, blah blah blah. You get the idea, right? Therefore, he's a little bit maybe underdog compared to 99% of the player base.
Did note that in peak Season 1 release, he was way up there, way too high as the top DPS choice before Sojourn caught on, but after the nerfs they gave him, he's actually in a much better spot. Does that mean they'll never buff him? Of course not. Despite the good win rate, Alec emphasized that he still wants heroes to feel impactful and successful, since player perception of the hero is something that they really take into consideration. Even in top 500 lobbies, one...
Oh, this... Okay, before we get into the Widow one, though. Huh? Okay. It really does feel like, you know, most of the time, Genjis are just kind of chilling until they get Blade and they don't actually do that much. I think it's been that way for like 5 years. So I could see why our perception of him is he doesn't do that much. So yeah, whatever. I've talked about Genji a million times in this channel over the years and why I don't play him. So Genji anywhere but GM Plus is strong. I think he's really strong. I also think he is just fine in GM Plus. I don't think he's actually that bad in GM or top 500. I just don't like the playstyle. I think at the very highest end of top 500, when people are absurdly good, you're talking like top 50, top 100, definitely not very good. But once you get into that very small niche arguments, then you're basically talking like scrims or competitive play. And that's a completely different realm of play than your average ladder game. So yeah, we'll see. Genji will make a play every 3 minutes. I would say your average Genji player on ladder is just sort of walking around spamming and taking high ground with people, but then they just AFK spam for Blade and they don't do anything most of the time. They're just kind of AFK. Because it's too difficult most of the time for a Genji to get in position to dive, and so therefore if you actually want to dive something, you should just play Tracer. That's usually on ladder how it goes. You can dive with Genji if you get like good team resources, get a good pocket and stuff like that, and it's actually pretty good. But yeah, anyway, there's all sorts of stuff. I think it's more of his playstyle doesn't feel very interesting or effective, more so than he is super underpowered at a given point. But anyway, let's go to this question.
Widow can control the whole game and feel impossible to punish without an equally skilled Widow or Hanzo on your own team. Is the team looking at changing Widow at all? And if yes, can you share what part of her kit might be adjusted?
Oh.
Alex's response was that while there's nothing planned for Widow at this time, a topic that they actively discuss is what's the best way to approach one-shots and snipers. Alec listed a few of the questions they ask themselves all the time, such as, should we soften what the snipers do themselves? Should it be a more map-based approach, such as adding more cover or flank routes within the map themselves?
Yes.
Alec also noted that the Widow discourse was more active during Season 3, likely due to the map pool at the time, which certainly favored her, such as Havana, Circuit Royale, and Junkertown, so they'll keep monitoring it in Season 4 and beyond without the map pools.
Half of the maps in the game are obscene for Widow. You legitimately have like Rialto, Havana, Junkertown, Circuit Royale. You have all these maps that have the most absurd open areas in the game that have effectively no cover. And I can definitely see what they're saying, but also the CarQ clip that he's playing right now is from Kings Row. Kings Row, I think, is a perfect example of a map that has a lot of Widow sidelines, and Widow is definitely good on some areas, right? Like this bend right now that the clip is on, right? If a Widow plays top left around the corner, that's a pretty long sideline. It's pretty good, but it doesn't feel that oppressive, right? Because you're still pretty close to the Widow. It's just a good sideline. But then there are the overpowered sidelines. The overpowered sidelines being stuff like First Point, Blizzard World sometimes, Junkertown, Rialto, Havana. There's like half the maps in the game. And so when you go down that road, and now it's kind of like, yeah, I think it is probably mostly a map cover thing. The Circuit Royale, yes. Ilios Ruins, yes. Havana third, yep. Havana first and third. Second, not as much, but yeah. There's so many examples you guys are giving. Even stuff like probably what? I'm trying to think what else. I can't remember right now, but Busan Shrine. That actually has a lot of cover for Dive to work with, though, I think. But that is another good example. But there's two core issues in my Gibraltar. Yes, Gibraltar is another great one. Hollywood second is another great map for Widow. There's all these maps that are good for Widow, but I would make a clear distinction between maps and areas that are good for Widow, such as Gibraltar third or Hollywood second, and Kings Row third, and some maps that are just far and beyond insane for Widow, right? Because no one is going to compare Gibraltar's last point to Havana first point of how absurd it is to try and push a Widow, right? And so to me, the core issue with those types of maps are the response to having a good Widow on the enemy team is, okay, guys, we have to go dive, and we need to have insane coordination between like 3 of us, half of which are probably not in voice, if any of us, to dive this Widow and kill her on this map that's already hard. Just make her extreme maps less extreme. Yeah. And it's a combination of the response takes a lot of people to create a response. Hey, guys, let's go dive. Tank, I'm going to need you to swap. DPS, I'm going to need you to swap. And then you have to do all this stuff, right? But it reduces the burden of that if it's just not as extreme in a lot of these cases. If I could just do it with like 1 or 2 instead of, you get the idea. I think you guys get where I'm at. Or just add in a pick ban for ranks. I've always been a big fan of pick ban. Of course, that means that probably no one would want to play against a Widow on Havana. But, God, I just can't imagine. Oh, no. Chat, I would literally cry to sleep if it meant that I couldn't play against Widow on Havana for one time.
For Junker Queen, is the team looking at additional changes to her? And if yes, will these be simple number changes or more of a rework? Alec noted that there's nothing to change for Junker Queen right now. They're happy with her matchups and scenarios where she can excel at, and is just slightly under 50% win rate, unlike Roadhog and Orisa.
Just over 50% win rate, unlike Hog and Orisa. That's interesting. Junker Queen's a funny character.
There's also a quick...
Mostly because if Junker Queen ever gets discorded, she instantly dies sometimes. Like, there are situations it's so funny. Just under, they said? Okay, let me go back and re-listen to that. I thought they said just over.
And is just slightly under 50%.
Just, slightly under.
Win rate, unlike Roadhog and Orisa. Where she can excel at, and is just slightly under 50% win rate, unlike Roadhog and Orisa.
Roadhog and Orisa are probably more than under 50 then, yeah. So in that case, just slightly under puts her right around 50. Gotcha. So that they consider Junker Queen probably fine. But what I was going to say was, it's funny sometimes playing against Junker Queen, because if I'm playing Hanzo or something and she gets discorded and her shout isn't up, every once in a while, if you just spam an arrow like across the corner, you'll like 2-tap a Junker Queen. You're like, that's a take, by the way.
There's also a quick Ramacho question pertaining to Nemesis form and res, but Alec just quickly said that there's a bug that they're aware of where Nemesis is not.
Wait. Should Ramacho be able to use Nemesis ult and then use Nemesis again, die, get res, use Nemesis again 4 times Nemesis equals 900 armor? Wait,
going on
there's a bug with this?
cooldown after being res by Mercy, so that'll be fixed soon.
Okay.
The question about design philosophy is that there are 2 observations. Is that 1, heroes should be fun first and then look at balancing after, or 2, heroes have certain character defining abilities that you don't want to completely remove. These 2 philosophies seem impossible to coexist, such as Mei Free, Sombra Hack, one-shots, Mercy Res. Would you ever budge on the identity of a hero to make the game more fun overall?
They already have multiple times. They've changed the identity of many characters in Overwatch over the years. Does anyone remember any shield generators in the chat? Any Bastions? Any Torbs? The first iteration Brigida? Remember any Mass Resers? There's a lot. So I think very obviously they look for the fun and then they try and, if it needs a rework, they just go for it. But Overwatch is also a game that's so flexible that, yeah. We'll see.
Alex's response was that it's very important to have heroes filling out those fantasies. You know, you want to feel like a hero when you play the game. If everything's too smoothed out, where's the fun, right? When things do get egregious and the response is so strong, like that's when they'll look at them and make changes if needed. But if they make changes all the time, it may not be as fun overall because there's always 2 sides, right? There's people complaining about the hero and then there's people who actually play the hero and enjoy it for what it is. Alex said that they'll certainly budge at times, but they'll make exceptions where they see fit.
There's always the inevitable push and pull chat of like, are we wrong? Or have the players just not found the right strategy yet? Or this or that? Oh, I see Hog on the screen. You know what? I don't care about that question. I want to hear about Roadhog.
All right, to end things off, I asked Alec a few questions about the future with hero changes and previously teased reworks, and I asked him to elaborate on the Roadhog reworks, which was touched on when he first got his one-shot nerfed, Cassidy's magnetic grenade, Mei, the Sombra reworks, role passives such as the DPS passive, especially being useless on some heroes like Hanzo, and
listen, it's very useful, okay? I have to reload all the time with Hanzo.
maybe a super small tease of Season 6's new hero. But from the top, Roadhog.
Definitely still working on that one. We have some things where it's like, oh yeah, this would feel great. Does it feel like a rework? Is it enough to really change how Roadhog fits into the tank role itself? Another question is like, how much should he fit into the tank role? You know, I think there's a component with Roadhog and people who enjoy Roadhog where, you know,
that's because he was an off tank.
there's a little selfish aspect there that is fun to get into, right?
Right.
Yep.
You know, we're definitely still working on that one. That one's going to take a little bit.
Cassidy.
Poor Roadhog. Chat, if you enjoy playing Roadhog, no one likes you. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Everyone has more fun when your character isn't meta, and they all complained enough that they nerfed your favorite character into the ground. How's it feel?
You know, he got the extended range in terms of the fall off.
Yeah, that was a good change.
Took away the HP as well. It's like, okay, how does magnetic grenade kind of play into that? So we're still playing around how these changes affect Cassidy and how magnetic grenade
There's a guy in chat. I don't need to be liked.
can fit within
Average Sombra enjoyer.
a little bit more of how his identity is like possibly shifted a little bit.
And now Mei changes.
A smaller thing, I wouldn't call it a rework, but a shift for Mei's primary fire. You're not going to freeze another hero entirely, but you build up to a bigger moment of that slow. Not too far from now, so I guess that's a tiny tease at least.
A tiny tease, that implies next season. Okay, so you build up to a bigger slow. But one of the most important part about Mei's left click right now is that it gives you the flat slow really, really fast. And so you can actually catch people really fast, right? Oh, good, a build up CC. So it's like maybe a longer duration, or the old Overwatch one slow, but you're not frozen. It'd be so funny if it was like, it keeps the slow this end. So we'll see when it's added. I would be surprised if they changed it that much, but I already thought that Mei's left click right now was ridiculously good. I considered Mei just straight up like the left click is better than Overwatch 1. Instead of just running at you and I have to freeze and right click you, you just die. It's just more efficient.
And the teased Sombra rework.
In terms of where we're at, design wise, it is something that we're just putting the finishing touches on.
Oh,
It'll be interesting to see how everyone reacts, but we're leaning into her capabilities a bit more in terms of how she can actually fight more, where she's going to be a bit more lethal, but that is going to be coming with some other things and drawbacks to some of the rest of her escapability. That's all I'll say for now. We'll talk about it more.
Drawbacks to escapability, but she fights you more. So she's probably, it's very funny because just a minute ago, he was asking about hero, what to look forward to, or design philosophy. Do you guys talk about, you know, how do you guys deal with the identity of characters and stuff like that? Well, Sombra was known as a troll character. I go stealth, I sit in your backline, I do a little bit of trolling. And so now it kind of sounds like she's going to be fighting more, but she doesn't have as much escape. That is definitely going to be interesting to see your theme.
Okay.
As time goes on.
Then I asked about DPS passives and role passives.
I think DPS pass is probably the one that's, I think the other two have been playing out relatively nicely. DPS pass is one on the list where we had a bunch of ideas. We'll take a look again to see, you know, maybe there's something a bit more interesting here, a bit more impactful that all the heroes can share. So it's something we're definitely going to talk about, but I think it's going to be something that's more on like a yearly cadence on how these passes are performing and, you know, through like a bigger update.
And then I tried my best.
End of year update where they just redo all the passives and stuff is pretty cool. I mean, it is kind of cool, but I'm also wondering, how the hell do you ever do a support passive that's as good as the current one? It's actually makes support so much better to play and play against. Like it feels fair when you're shooting them.
Me's new ult creates a circle ice wall to make a 1v1 arena. You are trapped in here with her now.
That would be pretty cool, Metal Spaz. That would be pretty cool.
Getting a tease of the new support hero in Season 6.
How long has it been since Lifeweaver's been out? 10 days?
10 days.
10 days, 10 days.
We need more. We need more.
I was trying. I tried, guys. I tried.
I don't think we're there just yet. Maybe up in Season 5, mid-season or somewhere around there. We're a little bit closer.
All right, mid-season 5, mid-season 5.
Sorry, a little bit too close to Lifeweaver's launch.
All right, fair.
It is a support hero.
Yep, we have a support.
So,
yep.
Yes.
You know, it's a support
Good.
hero. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
And that wraps up the shorter 15-minute summary of the entire hour interview. Again, it's on my second channel if you want to watch the full
God,
thing. Thank you all
CarQ,
for
you are so
supporting the
good at what
channel
you
and
do.
Watching this, appreciate it.
Holy shit, he's so fucking good. A 1 hour interview put down to 15 minutes. God damn. Yeah, he's amazing. He's too good at his job. Whew. Clap. Oh yeah, dude. Big clap.